This is Matt Reynolds, and I'm doing this is the 6.1 graded assignment on the case study presentations. And the case is Stanley versus the University of Southern California. So the facts of the case is, um, let's see here. Appellant Maureen Stanley appeals from the district court's order granting summary judgment in favor of the University of California and Michael Garrett on Stanley's claim of discrimination and breach of employment contract. Arguments on both sides of this case. Mariana Stanley had a contract with the University of California to be the women's head basketball coach from July of 1989 and expiring on June 30th of 1993. The contract provided a base salary of $60,000 per year, while the base salary was increased to $62,000 per year in 1992 since the women's basketball program had been successful during Stanley's years as the coach. On April 20th, 1993, 2 months prior to the contract expiring, Stanley and the athletic director, Michael Garrett, had an initial meeting to begin negotiating a new contract. Stanley states she entered into a contract that day which would pay her the same salary as the head boys basketball coach receives. It is undisputed that during the meeting, Garrett stated the school cannot pay her that salary, but an offer in writing would be forthcoming soon. On April 27, 1993, Stanley is offered a contract by Michael Garrett that is for 3 years and will pay her $80,000 the first year, $90,000 in year 2, and $100,000 in year 3. There was also a $6,000 a year housing allowance for each year of the 3 years. On May 27th of 1993, Garrett claims Stanley rejected the offer because she felt compensation should be equal to that of the head boys basketball coach. Stanley, however, says that she didn't reject the offer, but rather disagreed to the amount of compensation because it was inconsistent with the offer she claimed she was given at the initial meeting on April 20th, in which in her opinion, she had already accepted. On June 7th of 1993, Stanley proposed a 3-year contract for $96,000 per year for the first 18 months and a salary at the same rate as the head boys basketball coach for the remainder of the contract. Garrett rejected this offer. Stanley then retained a lawyer who proposed a contract to Garrett for 3 years with an automatic 2-year renewal for $80,000 for the first year and $97,000 for the second year and $112,000 for the third year. There was also additional incentives included in the proposal contract. Garrett again rejected this offer and also withdrew the April 27th offer. On June 21st, 1993, Garrett sent Stanley's attorney a written offer for a 1-year contract for $96,000 and stated that this would be his final offer. Stanley was to accept it or reject it by the end of the day on July 13, 1993. Stanley did not respond. On July 15, 1993, Garrett revoked the offer and informed Stanley he was seeking a new coach for the team and her services were no longer needed at USC. On August 5, 1993, Stanley initiates the court case in Los Angeles County Superior Court. The case makes claim of sex discrimination and retaliatory discharge. The Supreme Court granted Stanley's request to reinstate her as the head coach at $96,000 a year. However, the defendant removed the action to federal court on the grounds stating the complaints arise under federal law. On April 30th of 1993, the district court deemed the motion for preliminary injunction and Stanley appealed. Stanley then attempted to, through multiple complaints, allege the following actions: violation of the Equity Pay Act, violation of Article 1 of the California Constitution, violation of Title IX of the Civil Rights Act of 1972, retaliation, wrongful discharge, breach of contract, express contract, and breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing. She asked for reinstatement, declaring injunction relief from USC, discriminating against her, back pay $3 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive damages. On March 10th of 1995, the court granted summary judgment for USC and Garrett. This appeal followed. So the court findings state the school provided proof that while many of the job requirements are the same for both the women's and men's head basketball coaches, based on experience, qualifications, marketing, and promotional experience, and the publication of many books on basketball, the increased salary rate was justified for the head boys basketball coach, and Stanley's complaints could not be supported. Therefore, the district court's summary judgment granted in favor of USC, and Garrett was upheld. Now, the implications for the athletic and activities administrator would be this. The implications of this case for the athletic and activities administrator is to continuously and copiously document all communication with employees as contract negotiations are taking place. This historical inventory could very well become evidence in court of law if an employment situation was to become litigious. All right, this case came out of Case Studies in Sports Law, second edition, by Andrew Pittman.